I have some numbers here, and this is regarding UK's national debt, which is about 2.7 trillion pounds, which is higher than at any point since the 1960s. The GDP per capita grew just 4.3% between 2007 and 2023. And in the previous 16 years, that figure was at 46%. So clearly, a lot that needs to be done when it comes to stabilizing the economy and seeing economic growth in the country. What are the first few steps that Keir Starmer and his government should be taking to just, have that stabilization in the economy?
Well, I think moving fast to bring the new government in is the best move towards stability. But you're quoting some figures about the state of the economy. I mean, we all know that growth is very poor. It's nothing like India's 8% plus GDP growth. So that's clearly a priority. And this government has already said, before it came in, it already said that growth, getting the economy moving, is an absolute priority. You may be aware that during the campaign, the Conservatives were accusing the Labour Party of wanting to put taxes up, raise taxes, and they were denying it. So in other words, they've come into government with a very tight budget. They have promised they're not going to raise the regular taxes that affect most people, like income tax, which are already very high. So they've got to try to tackle all these things, get growth moving, tackle the health service issue, tackle the illegal immigration system without any additional revenue coming in. That's how it looks to us, unless they're going to move funds from one outlet to another. So we're all waiting to see exactly what happens. But I think I would add that one of the new ministers is Rachel Reeves, who has a background having worked for the Bank of England. And I think she's inspired a lot of confidence in the Labour Party. Arguably, she is one of the key plus points. You asked me earlier, what has Labour done to get it right? Well, I think Rachel Reeves herself is a key reason why the nation have put the trust in her. And they go around with the slogan about all proposals are fully funded. In other words, they're not coming up with pledges that they don't know how to fund. It still leaves the problem of how they are going to fund things if they're not going to raise taxes. And Rachel Reeves has said that the first budget will not be till September. So that gives them a chance to try to work things out. So, but you're right, it's all about the economy. And we are waiting to see what the move is on the economy.
Chirayu, any election that happens at this moment in any part of the world will be overshadowed by the two wars that have been happening, the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the Israel-Hamas war. UK election was no stranger to that. How do you see Keir Starmer and the Labour Party really navigating their way through these two wars and the ripple effects that have happened across the world because of them?
So far as the present Labour government is concerned, that tune on Ukraine was not very different from the Conservatives. So that way, there will be some continuity or most continuity so far as the Russia-Ukraine war will be concerned. There is a general tendency that we are seeing in entire transatlantic alliance regarding some sort of war weariness. The funds that they have to continuously transfer and its impact on domestic economy. So those impacts or those challenges, those debates would be uniform across the Western world. So that is one thing regarding Russia-Ukraine war is concerned. The second thing that we would on this Israel-Hamas issue, the entire Middle East question, I think there Keir Starmer would have to navigate quite a tightrope, because what exactly with Tories, the thing was very clear that they were pro-Israel. There were no Hamas sympathizers that were a part of the party, so on and so forth. But when it comes to Labour, what we are seeing is that there is a center wing of the party which now dominates, and then there is a radical or left-leaning wing of the party which has taken positions that are very similar to what progressive Democrats take in the US. And so far as the current election that has recently concluded, Keir Starmer has not given a megaphone to those elements within his party. Now, moving ahead, he will not only have
Okay.
to handle them, but he'll also have to humor that base. Now, how does he balance between the center and the radical wing of his party? That is something we'll have to see. But there might be some balancing act
Okay,
there.
we'll have to see
But
that.
again, the positions will not dramatically change.
Okay. Okay, quickly, my last question to you, Nicholas, before I wrap up. Interestingly, the most of the Europe has turned towards the far right, but the UK has moved towards the left now. That's an interesting dynamic that's playing out in that part of the world. But the likes of Nigel Farage now sitting in the parliament, is there any sort of concern there? A far right party winning the seats, having that say in the parliament? Would that be some sort of pressure on the Labour?
Well, not really pressure. It's a factor and it needs to be taken into account. But I think the Reform Party, led by Nigel Farage, has done more damage to the Conservative Party than anything. It's part of the reason why the Conservative number of votes fell so rapidly was because of the challenge from the right. But it hasn't affected the Labour Party visibly. As you rightly say, we're in the category of having shifted to the left. The right is there, and I would think that has a more serious effect on the ability of the Conservative Party to maintain some sort of unity. After all, one of the reasons it did so badly in this election was disunity, battles going on within the party between the various wings. And you could say that the Reform Party was like defections from the Conservative Party. It looked a little like that. But anyway, they only got 4 seats in Parliament, which is pretty insignificant in the overall picture of things. And you're right, Britain's gone to the left, whereas France looks like going to the right.
Yeah. All right, we'll have to see how that really moves forward. But Nicholas, you'd agree with me that 10 Downing Street's residents might keep changing, but the one permanent resident who stays there is Larry the cat. And that is not going to change, hopefully, anytime soon. But both of you gentlemen, thank you very much, Nicholas and Chirayu, for joining us on Nation Tonight and sharing your perspective on this big historic UK election result. Thank you very much.